YouTube friends. This is Richard Mabey with Richard Mabey Presents. I want to thank all the people for the wonderful comments about this rather painful procedure I had done on my right knee. And right now it's Thursday evening, April 21st. Now I'll either put this up tonight or tomorrow morning. What I wanted to do tonight is take a look at a reprint, not the original, but a reprint of Action Comics #1. And I have this great book edited by Roy Thomas, who is a major comic book writer going back to the 1960s. He wrote for Marvel and for DC both. The book is Superman, the Warriors, 1938 to 1945. And in this book, I cherish this book. They have a reprint of Action Comics #1. I thought we'd take a look at it. Why not? Be kind of fun. My mouth's a little dry. Probably, not probably, definitely one of the most significant comic books ever published on planet Earth. Action Comics #1, the first appearance of Superman. Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. So without further ado, let's check out the reprint of Action Comics #1. So, YouTube friends, this is my graphic novel, a collection of Superman comics from, they called it The Warriors, 1938 to 1945. And this compiled and edited by Roy Thomas, a very major comic book writer whose work goes back to the 1960s. So it's just a great book there. There's this, having a problem focusing here. That's odd. At any rate, that should focus. I can't understand why it's not focusing. It's very odd. At any rate, that's there it goes. Photo of Roy Thomas. Just a great book here. Be right back. I'm back. This is just an absolutely great book. Superman, the Warriors, 1938 to 1945. And in this, I love this beautiful, 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 bright colors. Just great graphics here. This book has a reprint of Action Comics #1, and this is kind of like the time period when Superman was kind of fighting the war, so to speak. You get the feeling of, it's not so much Lex Luthor and Brainiac, but he's fighting for democracy, and he's fighting for America. And here it is. Oh, this is a great shot here. A sailor and a soldier there. Here it is. Action Comics #1. No doubt one of the most significant comic books ever published. The first appearance of Superman, and there he is holding up this car. What's very interesting here is this is the introduction, and there's no mention of Superman coming from a planet, Krypton, with a red sun. He gains his powers from the yellow sun of Earth. There's no mention of his parents, Mom and Pa Kent. Not really anything about how he established his secret identity. Kind of nothing really mentioned about Clark Kent in terms of, what he does for a living, that kind of thing. But in this comic, Action Comics #1, I have all the respect for Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. They really created, essentially, I think, one of the greatest superheroes of all time, Superman. I just want to go through the columns, give you a feel for the artwork. It's a different kind. You can see the crest on Superman's uniform is a little bit different. It's kind of foreboding. Like, this is kind of like a, foreboding, almost kind of almost out of a movie, like kind of thing. And here we go. And we're introduced to the Daily Record. And here's, Perry White. Did you ever hear of Superman? Opie and Floyd are acting up. I'll be right back. So I'm back. And so you've got some panels here, illustrating and showing the other side of Superman, Clark Kent. I have to say, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were relatively young when they came up with the idea of Superman. And it really was ingenious. Now here we got a scene with Lois Lane. Floyd's acting up. I'll be right back. So back to our panel here with Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Now, in Action Comics #1, you get the feeling that Clark Kent is actually very attracted to Lois Lane. It says here, Clark says, well, what do you say to a date tonight, Lois? And Lois Lane said, I suppose I'll give you a break for a change. Now, this is interesting. They're dancing together. And Clark says, why is it you always avoid me at the office? And Lois Lane says, please, Clark, I've been scribbling sob stories all day long. Don't ask me to dish out another. So, kind of the hint of an unrequited love. Clark Kent is very attracted to Lois, and yet Lois is not attracted to Clark. I'll tell you what, Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, just geniuses. Let me just give you a feel for the artwork here. And kind of a feeling of what they would call noir movies, those old-time black and white kind of detective films, 30s. It has this Action Comics #1 has a kind of a feel of that, And there's the famous scene where Superman is lifting up the entire car. And here he is with Lois. Focus is a little off here. So I have to go back. There it is. I can't, it's hard to read this. You needn't be afraid of me. I won't harm you. Kind of got that thing where she's afraid of Superman. I love the feeling. There's an innocence to there's the train. There's an innocence to the artwork. And it was kind of a long story, actually. Give you a feel for the artwork in Action Comics #1. There was almost a thing that Superman did not fly, but rather took a fantastic leap. Kind of was somewhere in between flying and taking a big leap. And here's the last panel of Action Comics #1. And so begins the startling adventures of the most sensational strip character of all time, Superman. A physical marvel, a mental wonder, Superman is destined to reshape the destiny of a world. And it says, only in Action Comics. Superman comics, of course, were not out yet. Only in Action Comics can you thrill at the daring deeds of this superb creation. Don't miss an issue. Just an incredible historical, definitely one of the most significant comic books ever published in the history of mankind. Just an amazing comic book, and I really thank Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster for coming up with Superman. Just a genius. So there you have it, YouTube friends. Just a quick look at Action Comics #1, the first appearance ever of Superman. It's a funny thing. My dad was at Hickam Airfield in the 7th Air Force with at the very same time that Jerry Siegel was at Hickam Airfield. And my dad, I remember when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, and I had a big stack of Superman comic books. And my dad telling me I was in the service with the man who created Superman. And I believed him, but it just seemed so funny, you know. And Jerry Siegel lived in New York City. We lived half-hour ride from New York City in Little Lincoln Park. So it was about just hopping on Route 46 or later Route 80 and going over to New York City. I mean, he knew Dad. They probably, sat maybe at times sat across from each other in the mess hall. But it's one of those things I really regret. Dad would talk about it, that he knew Jerry Siegel at Hickam Airfield in Hawaii during World War II. But I really regret that I didn't ask him more questions. And I was busy with life. When, you're a kid, you're going to school, there's homework, there's Cub Scouts, there's church youth group, there's Sunday school, there's all your buddies, there's going out and playing baseball and that kind of thing. And then, it's just one of those things. I really deeply regret that I didn't talk more to Dad about what it was like to know Jerry Siegel, Can't turn the clock back. So I'm going to sign off. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, and even if you didn't, please hit the like button. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Helps me with the big wheels at YouTube. So without further ado, I'm going to close. Stay happy, stay positive, stay super. This is Richard Mabey, signing off.